What's up, guys? Leif Erikson here with another video, and apparently they got some new sailing news, and we're gonna go through this and talk about it and kind of give my opinion on what I think of sailing. And so let's just jump into this. So this is the behind the scenes of Sailing Volume One. Ahoy there, and welcome to our behind the scene blog on sailing, a brand new skill for the old school RuneScape. It's been some time since the community voted for a new skill back in 22. At that time, the new skill team consisted of Mod Elena, Mod Husky, Mod Light, Mod Gecko, Mod, and so on, with support. After months of player surveys and consultations, we presented our refined ideas at the 2023 Summer Summit, asking if we should lock in sailing as our first new skill. Hundreds of thousands of votes later, we started to work on Old School's biggest project yet. Until now, we've aimed to only share sailing updates when everything feels perfectly polished. However, we've been realized that you're missing out on some of the most fun parts of the journey. Even if they don't look perfect just yet, your feedback has been invulnerable so far. Invaluable. Ah, I got something in my throat. Sorry. So we want to bring you back on board as we sail through the treacherous waters of development to help guide sailing safely to shore. Today we be talking about how boats navigate from the technical perspective, pathfinding algorithms, and moment. Hold on, I gotta clear my throat. What the hell? You know what they did? All right. Today we'll be talking about boat navigation. Okay, stuff like that. If you're not ready for a long voyage through Sailing's development safari, you can go see the highlights right here. We highly encourage have read through the whole blog though. That's where all the juicy details are. All right. So navigation. In our last blog post, we mentioned laying the tech foundations for sailing navigation. This includes the ability for players to own various boats, board and disembark from them, move them, interact with onboard facilities, adjust camera and zoom distance, and more. All right, so all that sounds pretty good so far. The next step is to bring all hands on deck with an open tech alpha. This involves extensive engine work as well as some important decisions behind the scenes. Our first question was whether the boat should move like players or have their own unique movement. Players are used to moving their character around by clicking, but boats are quite a bit larger. In fact, in game code, they're technically entire land masses by themselves. The size of the ships meant they were crashing into all sorts of things. I could see how that could be a problem, yeah. Um, although, yeah, I could see that. I do have an opinion on this. I'll talk to you after I finish this part here. We also ruled out smart pathing. The system determines the most efficient route from one point to another. This is great when you're uh, Minotaur trying to navigate around some annoying pillars, but less great when you're a player trying to sail a ship. For one thing, instead of sailing a ship, it feels like you are the ship, which is not at all what we were after. Smart pathing also made the boat wiggle around obstacles like the player character might. If you've seen the boat in real life, of course, you know that's not actually how it moves, resulting in turning circle. We wanted this to be part of sailing skill expression, so smart pathing had to go. I also agree with that. I do not like smart pathing. I think that would have been a really boring way to do it. We played around with a few other pathing algorithms too. A pathing, for example, is the industry standard. They even use it in sat navs. Unfortunately, it caused performance issues and unexpected crashes when scaled up to 2,000 players. First, it caused frustrating movements where the route and final angle were unpredictable. All right, so with what I've gotten so far, I think that is a very, very important thing to make sure that they nail it down and get it completely right because the whole part of sailing is the sailing aspect of it. And if, the sailing's bad, then it's not going to be fun. It's not going to engage people and keep people wanting to keep training it. But then at the same time, if it's something completely foreign that people don't like anyway, it could be still a hindrance. But the movement is definitely the number one thing that has to be good with this. I do think they could do the click to move, but I'm not really sure how it looks like in their programming. and stuff, where I do believe you could still do the click the move stuff, but you'd have to make sure that you can't like run into. You'd have to have certain amount of blocks per on the outside of each island, to where you can't click on that area and the boat can't enter that. Because even if it was like where the boat, in my opinion, now this is my opinion, there could be reasons why they chose not to do this. One of them being it might not look as good. But like, say how like when you're a player, just a normal character, you're like clicking and moving and going back and forth. Well, if the boat just would say if you wanted to like turn around, the boat would just spin around real quick and on its normal axis, and it wouldn't just like drift slowly around in a circle. I think that could work, and I think that would have been fine. Where the boat just kind of just like does a 180 real quick and just goes the direction that you want versus it having to slowly make an arch. I know it's not as realistic, but I still think that movement would have been fine. But there are people that probably would be like, "Oh, it's not realistic enough." But I mean, this is a point and click game, people. So, but I'm excited to see how they do it. Yeah. So this is that. See, like how it's doing this movement where it's going in like a circle. I would just rather just flip just instantly, and you just click where you want to go, type thing. Counterintuitively, it seems that smart pathing wasn't the smartest approach. It takes decisions away from the player, which over time would make sailing less fun. To say nothing of the work required to maintain it, we released that predictability, consistency, and realism were the most important parts of the player experience, which is probably why they didn't like the normal click the move because the boat would just flip in place, and that's not really realistic because a boat does kind of have to take that arching angle. But I don't know. I think it's fine if the boat just can like 180 and take 90-degree turns like a normal player character does on the grid, because it is a grid based game everywhere else. We went back to our guiding principle. Sorry if my mic is too far away. I hope it's not. I just moved, as you can see. I still have a bunch of stuff to unpack and all that. So I'm in the middle of moving still. That's also why I haven't had a video out in the last week, because it's been a really hectic. Our AC went, our dishwasher went. Our dishwashers won't be replaced until next week still. So it's been like super hot in here. We haven't been able to really get anything done without the AC. So that's been fun. Anyways, let's get back to this. Fun. Players should enjoy learning and training the skill. Distinct boat movement should feel unique, making players feel like sailors mastering navigation, not simply an extension of their ship. Simple telling your character where to walk is dead easy. Telling your boat where to go should be dead easy too. Exactly. That's kind of what I was saying. Is that like if they could figure it out a way to make it to where it's just like the same way that your character walks, where even if the boat just flips on an angle instantly to change direction, I think that'd be perfectly fine. Skill expression. Players who master navigation should feel rewarded for good movement, not punished for bad movement. We want high. See if you're doing that stuff, then that makes sense why you want the pinpoint turning. If you do want the player to be rewarded for their movement stuff, and also, what I mean, I'm assuming they're trying to get experience into that part as well. As well with on the board the ship. I know, like trimming the sails and stuff, you're supposed to get experience. Using simple pathing instead of an algorithm, we're able to give players full control. You can now run your ship into all the obstacles you like while enjoying. Okay, so that's good. They figured that part out. Alrighty, player feedback. With movement finally ready, it was time for the closed alpha tech. You may remember where we introduced some beta worlds back in June. Wish I would have known that. I would have done that. I didn't. I missed those. We can now reveal that these worlds were full of playtesters and very skilled players trying to sailing give us feedback. This was the first time we'd ever had player input on sailing core mechanics, so although the feedback initially leaned negative, it was very, very valuable. We'd like to thank everyone who participated and for all your hard work. So yeah, thank you all those people. The closed tech alpha revealed a number of compounding issues we had to fix before we could get to grips with how navigation felt. Firstly, we found that large boats took up too much space in the ocean or on the screen. This issue was already in our sights, thanks to feedback in our blog, but playtesting revealed that changes were critical. As a result, we scaled down all the boat sizes rapidly, prototyping different scales to find the upper and lower limits. We paid particular attention to the amount of space on deck and how to feel. I think okay, that sounds good. I'm wondering if they were able to just like zoom the camera out more for while you're on the boat, because like scaling down the boat I would think would also give you less room on the boat, versus if you could just make it so that when you're on your boat it's instance to where the camera is different from the normal game and that it's further up, so that way so when you would change the camera setting in the coding, it would make it so that when you're in the ship or on the boat or whatever, that it's not the same camera that you would have when you're just walking around the world, but it would be just like but if the boat had to be smaller because of the world size, that's I understand that. But for your camera aspect, I would think that all you would have to do is just like drag the camera up a little bit more, so that it's panned out a little bit more, so that way it looks kind of similar to like normal, but it's different because you had to make that adjustment. So I'm interested to see how that works and how they're going on that. Next, we focus on improving camera focus while sailing. When you're not navigating, the camera will focus on the player character, and while navigating, it will focus on the boat. That seems simple enough, but it's a small change. Actually, required a whole new engine command. Yeah, because they don't have anything else like this in the game. So, yeah, so that's where I was saying like you'd have the two different cameras. So when you're on the boat with your when you're just on the boat deck or whatever, you would have your normal camera like the normal world, and then when you're in the actual sailing part where you're the boat, that's where you would have to have a separate camera that it would switch to for whenever you're engaged with the boat, and the boat is now the main camera. And that's where I think that they would have to also draw out that distance, so that way you have the top view of the boat and you're not like just like for third person on it like Sea of Thieves or something. Um, you see, playtesters are also highlight a couple of click box issues, which helped us discover an area where the game struggled to calculate checkboxes on boats specifically. We adjusted click boxes on sails to make gameplay feel more fluid. Well, that's good. Uh, yeah, because if the click box is too small or too big, you can, sometimes misclick things and either run past them or click on something behind them that has a bigger click box or it's in the same line of view type thing. So that's definitely something that is good to have tightened up. Some feedback revealed that players didn't know how to dock their boat, so we created a visual indicator. Check out the anchor icon below. Okay, so it looks like you have to anchor at this certain point, so that's good. Then I'm wondering if it's just like a button that you press, probably, or if you want to get to a certain get close enough to it, it just auto anchors. So I'm wondering how that works because, like I said, I didn't get to be in the alpha test, but I would think once you get into a certain area, it'll be kind of like a little button that shows up on your screen or in your inventory or something, somewhere in that regards, or it'll have its own little sailing area now in the uh where like where your friends list and all that stuff is. Uh, so and then I'm assuming you'd just be like anchor on anchor or something like that, or set sail or dock or something like that. I'm assuming is how that would work. But right there's that symbol. Which me personally, they were talking about like the skill cape and stuff. This is separate, but like I actually really like the initial skill cape that they showed, the blue one with just the anchor, and I like that symbol a lot for sailing. I don't even think they need to change it personally, but if they're still trying to, I guess we'll see what the other options are. But I really like the original design. After all, we're not ready to focus. We were ready to focus on navigation. Our original design locked players in place while they were navigating their boat, unless they exited navigation mode. This was designed to prevent frustrating misclicks. However, playtesters let us know that the feature meant there wasn't enough time to keep the boat moving while trimmed the sails. To keep this process nice and rhythmic, we adjusted the space between the sails and the other facilities. Sails on small boats and rafts will always be clickable distance while navigating, which should help gameplay feel more fluid. That makes sense. So that way, smaller boats will be a little bit easier to navigate, and then as you get to bigger fleets, it'll be easier with multiple people, but still doable with one person. And it is good to have it be a little bit different for each, just so that you do see the difference in, like, okay, like I have to go further. So I have to like be quicker and more efficient with my clicks and going back and forth and stuff, where on a smaller boat when you're first starting out it's not as tedious, and it's a little bit easier to get to. And then also they want to encourage like people group sailing together, so having the stuff spaced out a little bit more does make sense for more people on a boat. Finally, the most interesting playtesters wanted us to explore the perpetual movement. Sorry, I had a brain fart. The ability to keep your ship moving in the same direction without clicking. During refinement, we thought of this as an advanced feature, but Closed Alpha made us realize we should at least see how the newer sailors coped with it. This is where you get into that like auto pathing thing, kind of, in a way. It's not completely auto pathing, but it is one of those things where it's like I kind of do like I kind of like this idea of like being able to just continuously sail in one direction, but then at the same time, like, is it really that hard to just like click, on your mini map or something like that where you want to go, and then have the boat just be used the same way that a normal like running would work? I feel like I would enjoy that more than just having like auto run pretty much for the boat. That's just my opinion. Let me know if you guys think I'm an idiot down below. But yeah, I don't know how I feel completely about this. This is why I don't like alphas when they only have like the top of the top players that you know don't think like the normal person, kind of thing. I know a lot of people would be okay with this. Like I wouldn't be mad if they went with this, but this is one of those things where it's like I kind of do like having just being able to click like normal type thing. To truly understand how people feel about professional, we need to rapidly test different options in isolation. We had to go beyond the engine. Either Unity, a popular off. Yeah, okay. It's pretty cool that there are being forced to move into other things besides RuneScript, though. So maybe this could be big for the future, possibly. The only thing is Unity; they're gonna have to pay money because they're a big company. Let's see here. So yeah, I mean, unless they're just using they may just be using Unity also just to test things, because it's really quick to throw things in the Unity and it's not interfering with anything else, that they already have put into the game. So that's cool that they're doing that. I like that. At some point, of course, we'll make these changes in our own engine. Okay, so yeah, they're just using Unity to prototype, which is really smart. It also means it's much easier for players to give us feedback. It's simple for us to develop a version of the old school engine into the hands of players. We don't have the infrastructure for players to connect to two different engine versions at the same time, so they could possibly compare different prototypes effectively. If we'd use our own engine for testing these options, we'd have to wait 6 to 8 weeks between. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why they're using Unity so fast. Unity's super easy to use. So this is very smart for them to do this. And then also, it's not they don't have to waste their time, with their own rune script and have to just delete everything that they just done, multiple times or whatever, and keep track of that in their script that their game's already, what I mean? Like having it in a separate thing that has nothing to do with the real game. Perfect. Instead of Unity allowed us to use the past prototypes, yep. Then people can just quickly play it for fun, like game jam style type thing. Um Okay, so this is just talk about Unity still. Alright, so here are these movement types. Let's check these out. Click the ocean, set your direction, not your destination. Click the boat icon, slide panel, sail speed. Movement type 2, check behind boat while moving to stop. Right, let's watch this, see what this looks like. Okay. So this one's not. This one don't look bad. I Okay, yeah. So that's not terrible. Let's see what this next one looks like. Um, so here I guess is where you would control all that stuff, for the boat and all that. I see. This is what I like. I like having this up view like this with the boat. I do like the way that this looks. Um, this is where you would set your sail speed, I would believe. So that is good. I do like that they have this here for the sail speed and all that. This stuff, I don't know if this is just for Unity or whatever, but or maybe this is just like some so that you can kind of, I don't know. I wish they would go into more detail with this stuff. Hopefully they do. Let's see what this next one looks like though. So this is the grid. This is what I kind of wanted. Where you just click the grid and then it looks a lot more natural. I think I like this one more than the other one personally, but that's just me. It because this one seems a little bit more like how the rest of the game works, but this one did look a little bit smoother. So I'd be fine with either one of these personally. Like, I mean, this one did look a lot smoother than the first one we watched. But I like this way more just because I feel like it feels like the rest of the game where I guess, it's sailing, so you would have some kind of like auto movement type thing with the wind if you wanted to like be more realistic or whatever. So, like I said, either one of these perfectly fine with me. I think they both looked fine. This one was a little bit more. If they clean it up a little bit more to where the turning's a little bit better, I think that'd be fine. Click to move tile, move. Okay. Movement type 6. Move. Click to move straight line with no snapping at any angle without adhering to the grid. Um, Click to move in a direction relative to your boat and just move forever until you click stop or collide with an obstacle. Click next to your boat to stop. Okay. Yeah, I still like the one where I was saying where like you can just it just like works like the character does, and then you can even use the mini map to like go further distances. And then the boat will just navigate around any obstacles, and take the shortest route like you would if you were just running. Let's see here. We got methods 1 and 2. We are looking for, but it relied on using a side panel. Yeah, I don't really like the side panel too much, but that's not a huge deal. Like if it's just to set your speed and stuff, that's perfectly fine. Method 3 and 4 relied less on a side panel, but had their own issues with movement as it traveled to destination tile. We sometimes saw wiggling movements and abrupt stops. It felt great at short distances, but for longer, more complex movements, it began to feel strange. The similarity to player movement also raised concerns that it felt like players were the ship rather than steering it. I could see that, yeah. But at the same time, you kind of are the ship. I mean, that's the only way that it really works well, unless you're in third person, well, like behind the character view. So, I mean, I have no problem with that. Like, if it feels like you're just the ship, because you are technically just the ship in that moment. Let's see. So they decided to go with method 1, which I have no problem with. I think method 1 looked perfectly fine. Uh, Although we were worried about the side panel, we realized that the side panel itself was not the issue. The problem was the player didn't want to totally rely on it for movement. Looking ahead, the side panel will be used to control crew members. We feel that Having your character interact with things on the boat is critical for the skill. We already identified ways to prevent over reliance on the side panel. Allowing players to stop and start their ship's movement is one example. Either we talked about the skill expression method number one gives us a great foundation to build content around consistent and predictable movement patterns. For example, the ship has a consistent turn pattern which always arcs at the same degree. Sailing is a skill, and we're excited to see players get mechanically better at it with their level goes up. It's only achievable when movement is consistent. Additionally, we'll have improved clear visual indicators in the game. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm fine with what they chose. I don't think it needs to be so rounded on the turns. I think you could do just sharp angles and be fine, and people wouldn't really care. The general person. I mean, there's some people that may think it looks stupid, but if it's more efficient, then that's all that really matters. Because in a skill, you want it to be the most efficient build, not just like what looks good. Which is why they did all those different examples or whatever. Small boats feel great to steer. They fit neatly on the screen, and pose a little challenge to navigate the sea. While this may feel limiting at first, it is a natural start to your sailing journey, and it avoids overwhelming you with loads of choices while you are still learning the ropes. Upgrading to a bigger boat with more facilities will be a natural part of the skill's progression. Speaking of, large ships take up a much larger portion of the screen's real estate in exchange for more facilities and more room to run around the boat. Playtesting boats of various sizes has let us figure out the podium layout for facilities, ensuring they complement the core gameplay loop. Our playtesters loved the update boat sizes too, which gave us plenty of confidence moving forward. Well, that's good. I'm glad that everything looks good now and they have all this stuff figured out. What's next? Alrighty, we know you're yearning for the seas, and next year you'll be able to try sailing yourself. Okay, so it's coming next year sometime for the alpha. We need to run one more closed tech alpha and run through all the feedback changes we applied for the first one. We also need to resolve issues with collision detection right now. Exactly, like I said. So, the first two that I said looked really good, that they had videos for. It was just the collision detection, and they just had to smooth out that stuff, which that was done in Unity, I believe they said. So it'll be exciting to see how they can, fine tune it and make it a little bit more responsive in JavaScript or RuneScript or whatever you want to call it. Additionally, we explored on-site playtesting options, speed up feedback, and allow us to deliver sailing at reasonable time frame. We've already had a successful on-site playtest with just 3 players, and everything seemed to be working expected. Now we're increasing playtester numbers gradually to ensure that all is well before we present sailing to a wider community. Currently, our playtesters live all over the world. Many of them have been picked from discussions in the official OS Sailing Discord or by referral. We're always open to inviting more people, but we have to keep numbers really small, blah, blah, blah. So it depends on the people they get, was what the sailing's going to turn out to be. Basically, if you want to, you can click here, I think, to apply for and give your feedback and whatnot of what you guys think. And then also down below, you can give some feedback. So what they want them to consider is it fun? Do you find the movement distinct yet natural? Do you feel like you could get better at sailing over time? I think this one is probably the one that would be the most. Being fun's obviously just you need it to be fun, and then the movement is very, very, very important. And then getting better at sailing over the time. I guess I would think that you would. I almost kind of would rather it be like as you level up sailing, things get a little bit easier type thing. You know what I mean? Navigation isn't all we've been working on. This is just first of many update vlogs, and we can't wait to show you our progress as development continues. Much of the sailing gameplay, such as port tasks and shipwreck salvaging, have already been added to the skill prototype. This means you'll be able to try both of them in the open tech alpha next year. Additionally, we've started to map out areas of the ocean. Check out the starter zone on the map below. Okay. Yeah, so this is, yeah, this is pretty much where I would expect you to start because this is where the most like the biggest port that most people use in the whole game. So it makes sense that you would start here. We've also developed new tech for future ship combat, so that's cool. I think that one will be so fun. And then look, you can there's even little Kraken out there. I think that's sick. Don't need the really, but I do want to look at this. So you're using normal magic spells, and so it's literally PvP. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that would be actually pretty sick. But then I would assume eventually you'd get like cannons and stuff like that they're working on. But I wonder if you can just fight these and get drops, and then the drop just goes right into your ship loot or something like that. I'm wondering how that works. That'd be interesting to know. Let's see here. So yeah, they're just thanking everyone here who pretty much has worked on giving them feedback and stuff so far. But so far, I mean, I'm personally excited. I don't know about you guys. Let me down below what you guys think. And yeah, I hope the mic was good. I finally got everything set up in the last place I was living, and then I moved. So I don't know. I'm hoping the settings are good still, and I don't have to adjust anything. I may have to just figure out where this mic needs to be placed so that it sounds good or whatever. But thank you so much. Give me feedback on the quality of the video and whatnot so that I can improve in the next one. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.